Hello, Kevin here, and I have a quick question for people who are familiar with Adobe Premiere or just kind of the Adobe suite in general, because I'm trying to get myself to edit everything in the Adobe suite, moving off of Final Cut, which is kind of my editor of choice because it's been very, very fast for me, and particularly editing in the style that I like to edit. I have a quick question. I'm hoping that you can maybe answer a couple of questions or just point out areas where I'm doing something stupid. So I have this project here that actually I've already exported. It's got some silence and some ums and stuff, but I'm not really editing them out, at least on this pass. But I wanted to use this as kind of an example. The first thing that I did is I grabbed some of the... So I've got the audio recording on a second thing. Generally, what I've ended up doing, just because I don't know any better, is I'll end up sending the audio clip over to Adobe Audition. Before doing anything else. I'll open it up, and then basically I want to be able to add effects and stuff, do general EQ and compression. So I'll end up creating a new multi-track session with no template, and yeah, fine. Drag the thing in, add the effects. I've got kind of a preset that I've been using for podcasting and kind of the voice stuff, which is going to look a little weird, but it's fine. And then generally I'll go ahead and I'll tweak the loudness here because this is never quite enough. I'll go ahead and I'll, let's see, multi-track, mix down to a new file for the whole session. Sometimes I may do some noise removal if it calls for it. And then I'll go to match loudness and get the LUFS correct, targeting at -16 for stereo. And then I'll run that, and then I'll save that file out and then go back to Premiere and then run with that, which is probably more work than I need to be doing. If that's something that you're familiar with, and you can tell me what I'm doing stupid, then that's great. What I did today, which I think is probably smarter, is I have this first track where basically I just synced up... oh, okay, the media is pending. I don't know. I synced up the original audio clip and this clip, then just muted the audio on that, and then just ended up using that as a separate sequence in a new sequence. What I'd done in the past is basically unlink this and then just drag this up in there. There doesn't seem to be a way to like relink it because it's not the original media. I don't know. I mean, again, I'm coming at this from experienced video editing, but really no experience with Premiere. So that's that. I should name these better. Then anyway, I went through and edited this. Here's the other... One thing that I did discover is basically if I try and play this, or particularly if I try and play after at double speed, I just can't do it. This machine's running. It's an NVIDIA GTX 1080. It's a very fast i7. This is a very, very high spec machine, but Premiere just cannot play the source media without basically what I did is went to the beginning, went to the out, and then sequence render into out, which basically means I just have to sit here for however long that ends up taking so that it can render a whole bunch of scratch files. If there's a way for me to avoid that, if it's just a matter of like choosing a good video format, I mean, I'm already having to do a handbrake encode because Premiere can't seem to handle variable frame rate. And even though XSplit is recording a fixed 30 frames, it's not marking it as fixed. So I'm already using handbrake to re-encode the video as a fixed frame rate anyway, which is kind of frustrating because otherwise the audio just gets all kinds of out of sync when I try and edit it in here. But let me, I'm using a mouse that's weird. So let me find an example real quick here. A high concept. There we go. Okay, so there we have like a basic case for a J cut. Now, what I had done in the past, generally what I will do in Final Cut is I'll do something. No, come on. I'll want something like this, where basically it's not strictly a J cut. It's just an envelope cut. I don't know, where the audio does not cut itself entirely off. Also, is there a way for me to still have the audio waveforms while dragging that? Because that's really difficult. Something, I don't know, some new perspective. That's probably not a good cut, but if we trim that up, you'll see kind of what I some new perspective. And so basically, I don't want a hard audio cut. I want to be able to roll from one to the other. Occasionally in Final Cut, I'll go ahead and roll one on or roll one off. But I can't figure out a way to do that in Premiere other than basically dragging both of these clips out like that, which of course means that down the line, when I have the next case to do something like that, I need to drag both of them in, which is fine. It means that basically I just end up with a timeline that's, in and out and in and out and in and out. But then if I ever need to delete this, then all of these need to be swapped. So the in one needs to be out. So the stuff on V1 needs to be brought out to V2 and vice versa. Or I have to basically split an individual clip and make it 2 so that it fixes all that. So I'm not exactly sure if there's a better way to be doing that. Now, I do know that you can do a kind of a standard cut just by doing a ripple of just the audio. But that's not what I want. I don't want a hard cut of the audio. I want both of the audio clips to play until a particular endpoint for the second clip, and a particular. I want the first clip to play its audio until a particular out point that is after the endpoint of the audio on the next clip. But for that whole thing to be separate from the video. And so let me jump over to Final Cut just to show exactly what I'm doing. But yeah, also, if there's a way for me to not have to render in to out before being able to edit, that'd be really, really nice. I mean, these are standard MPEG H.264 things. Like it's not crazy encoded, so I'm not exactly sure. Like, should I be using ProRes? Is there some sort of format that Adobe prefers? I don't know. Okay, so I'm in Final Cut here, and this is another Cheers Kevin Reed's episode. The audio's mixed completely differently because it's a whole different toolkit, but this is basically my standard type of edit. Yeah, there we go. I've got I don't know if the zoom tool is going to show up on ScreenFlow, but listen. So the third bit of meta information: people are really weird when it comes. Okay, so what is it that even happened there? And so the third bit of meta. There may be some strange cases where I actually do want this to completely overlap. For a long thing like this. The third bit of meta information: people are really weird when it comes. That doesn't really make sense here, but it would be something that sometimes I would like to be able to do in Premiere. On very rare occasions, I found myself stretching both of these, although that is such a weird use case. Although, is it really that different? I'm not entirely sure. But basically, I can import variable frame rate footage into here and play it in real time in the timeline. Obviously, I won't actually render stuff out. This is all with no video effects or anything applied. Basically, my workflow for this type of project is to just drop in the source and kind of go through and go, all right, listen until I screw up, basically. Cut there, kill that, and then go, okay, zoom in and go, all right, we bring that in and go, boom. And then that's basically done. Like I look at the waveform and that's mostly the gist of it. And so I'd like to be able to edit as quickly in Premiere, but I just can't figure out how to do that without basically these all having to be V2. So effectively treat every other video clip as B-roll, with no A-roll underneath it, and then go back to A-roll and B-roll, which makes it really difficult to edit stuff later. So if you have any advice on how to fix any of these problems that I'm having, it could easily just be that, Kevin, you're stupid. This is not how you're supposed to be editing video. Change your habits. But this is really, really, really fast for me. And so if there's a way that I can keep doing it, I would really like to. So thanks in advance for your advice. Or if you know people that are super good with Premiere that might have the answers, I'd appreciate it if you might send them my way. Alrighty, thanks. Cheers.